What's up, Commander fans? I'm back. Now I had to come out of early retirement because we got some big news. Ron's officially gone. Have been making a lot of videos this past season because we stink. We finished 4-13 for the season. I went to the first game, the first home game. Went to the first home game of the season. We played Arizona. They give out these home opener banners and everything like that. It felt special. It was good attendance. It was like 80,000 people in the crowd. And we won. We won. It was a very close one, but we won that game. And I was glad that I was able to attend that game because that was our only home win of the season. I had no idea what finishes. I remember starting out went 2-0, and things were looking up for the Commanders. Sam was looking all right, and then we played the Bills. And we lost like 38-3. And I was at that game too. It was an ugly game. It was a wet game, and after that, it just went downhill. Now, I personally knew Ron was done probably after the Giants loss. Yeah, I'd say around the Giants loss or the Bears loss when we played on Thursday night. That was probably when I knew like he's out of there. We're not that good. Now, looking back and reflecting with Ron, he finished as 26-40-1, so he had a losing season. This is his worst season as a head coach. Normally, he finishes around 500. He's always been around 500 coach, but it's definitely his worst season as a commander, and maybe in his career. But he really hasn't really done much for the Commanders. Like, he drafted Manuel Forge, Jamie Davis. He signed Carson Wentz. He's signed Ryan Fitzpatrick. We had Trent Williams, Brandon Sheriff, and Eric Flowers as starting linemen at one point. Early on when we first started. Now our O-line is just completely diminished or just disregarded. But it's just hasn't really been a good era with Ron. Now we knew with Josh Harris he might want to evaluate Ron Rivera. They brought in Eric Bieniemy, and we saw a slight spark in the offense. But the offense hasn't really clicked with Sam Howell, and he's still being evaluated too. Now they could have fired Ron yesterday, but I just found out, but it was his birthday during the games and stuff like that. But he fired him today. I'm kind of mixed feelings about it. Like, I really appreciated Ron. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a good person. He's a leader of men. Military background, religious too, but it just wasn't really getting the job done. Josh Harris already fired him, and he also hired Bob Myers. Now, that's an interesting thing. It's going to be a short term, but Bob Myers and also Rick Spellman, they're supposed to be coming in and basically helping out with operations and finding an ideal candidate. It's a short term thing, but I think the reason why Josh hiring Bob Myers is such a big deal is because Bob's the same guy that helped build the Golden State dynasty and really get guys like Dre, Clay, Steph, Iguodala, and they went on that run around 2015 to 2018. That whole era there, Bob Myers was the person who appointed people into like GM head coach positions. So I really like the move. I think Josh is gonna be very aggressive now. We are one of 5 teams that are missing a head coach. It's us, the Panthers, the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Falcons. And I think of that 5, Washington is probably the most ideal place for a new coach to come. I mean, we have the second overall pick in the draft. We most likely can get a quarterback, or we can get a lineman. We can get the receiver as well. But we have a top 2 pick in the draft. We have 75 to 90 million cap space, and we have 2/3 and 2 second-round picks for this upcoming draft. It's just a really good position if you want to have a coach to come in and really build something. I think Josh, he's the same guy with Philadelphia as their GM. I mean, as their owner, and his saying was always trust the process. I think Washington is going towards that trust the process moment. We're talking about a new stadium within the next 3 years, no matter where it's going to be. And also, I think whoever's going to come in, it's not just going to be, okay, one season, you got to turn this whole thing around. Like, there's a lot of holes in this team, and I think the next coach, it might be similar tenure to Ron, where they're most likely going to get at least 3 to 4 years to actually like do something. So I think Josh is being aggressive, but also patient, make sure he gets the right guy. But I do like that they got rid of Ron. I mean, it was time to go. This was a make or break season for Ron. I mean, we all knew that Josh was looking to maybe change face or just undo everything that Dan Snyder has done, but it was still fair to give Ron a chance to prove himself, and he did not deliver. Not a lot of positives, but he did get us through the pandemic. He got us through. I think 2020 was his best season. When we were in the playoffs for a wild card, and we played the Bucks. We lost, but if you look back at it, that 2020 season, that was the closest. We were the closest to beat the Bucks during their playoff run and everything like that. But Ron just hasn't really accomplished a lot as a head coach. We dismantled the D line, so we just had Payne and Allen out. They underperformed under a defensive-minded head coach like Ron. They did not perform well. There's really not a lot of like key takeaways. I mean, I know he drafted Cheeseman. He ended up getting cut. He had that one kicker that got cut. Now it's just a mess. But again, like there's still a lot of hope, as what I mentioned earlier with the whole second overall pick, cap space, and also 2 seconds and 2/3 picks. We have plenty of capital that a coach can work with to really turn this thing around. But Ron being fired is really just the first step of the rebuild. So let me know what you guys think, the Commander fans. I'm also be back making more content. Again, I didn't make content last season because we were trash and it wasn't really much to report. But I think this season, this off season, is going to be a very entertaining and interesting season to see how we approach this rebuild. So let me know what you guys think. Ron's officially gone. We can celebrate, but I might make a video once they hire someone, or maybe just potential candidates that could take this spot. I know they're talking about Jim Harbaugh, but I don't think he's going to come. We're definitely not going to get Bill Belichick. I did like the OC, the offensive coordinator from the Lions. They're like interviewing or just showing some interest in. We'll see how they do in the playoffs, but I'll make a different video about that. And also the draft is coming back. The draft is coming up as well, so we got to talk about these quarterbacks. So as always, hail to the Commanders. Just expect to see me more. I'm out. Peace.